Hello, I'm Kat Sarfas, bookseller at Barnes & Noble. Today we are joined by the great Matty Matheson. Matty is an internationally renowned restaurateur, chef, two-time best-selling author, soon to be three, producer, actor, television personality with over 100 million YouTube views across his original cooking shows, 11 active restaurants in Canada, culinary brands, a workwear line, over 20 years in the restaurant industry. Matty has been bringing us joy in many forms for quite some time. Matty, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
All right, let's get to it. We have soups, we have salads, we have sandwiches, the iconic Trinity. So what was the spark that inspired this cookbook?
Oh, well, there's a couple sparks. We're always sparking around. I think that, my first book was my life through a culinary lens of where I come from, my parents, my grandparents, my wife, her parents. And, for a first book, it's always easier to tell your own story, I believe. Or at least the first time you're trying to write a book, I think the easiest thing for me was to write my life through a culinary lens. Then the second book, I wanted to kind of write like an ode to just like classic everything kind of cookbooks and those classic cookbooks that, you can learn how to make a bread or a stock or pickles and preserves or whatever it may be, like a kind of a beginning and end to like a cookbook. And then this thing, it's tough. Like it is one of those things where I'm like, I didn't know for a while. And it is like, and I talk about it in my book, like, I'm like, a lot of things isn't forced, just making I'm not doing a book on dinner parties. I'm not doing a book on, like, I think ideas of cookbooks they're kind of rough sometimes, I think. And it's just like, I think even thinking about like, cookbooks have turned into like titles of cookbooks have turned into like sentences and like phrases and things. And like,
Yes.
I just don't understand that type of stuff, even when I was trying to sell like soup salad sandwiches or like when I was pitching soup salad sandwiches as the name of the book, everyone's just like, what? And I was just like, just say it out loud. It has a cadence. It has, Matty Matheson, a cookbook, home style cookery, soup salad sandwiches. Saying it out loud made a lot of sense. And I think it was just, I don't know. I was just sitting around and just like probably yelling about not being happy with some stuff or, just like ranting and raving. And I was just like, fine, I'll just make a book about like soup salad sandwiches or like, and then I was like, wait, that's a good idea. Like, why don't I make a book? And I think it is like a thing where this book, I think, is like a first book that is truly for my fan base, I believe. The first one is, I'm telling my own story. It's narcissistic. It's ego based. It's still, like it is like me just talking about myself. Where this book, I believe, is it's a Rolodex. It's a thing that you could go to and open up. And every day you want to make a salad, you want to make a soup, you want to make a sandwich. When you're eating at home, I'd say probably 80% of the time, I make the same salad. Every
Yes.
time I make a salad, I make my salad. It's the same friggin' salad. When I make a soup, it's more than likely like an Italian wedding soup or a chicken noodle soup or like a minestrone type soup or like a red based seafood soup or a cream based seafood soup. That's like 5 soups,
Yep.
That I genuinely probably make. I'm not at home making French onion soup. I'm not a sport cooking person at home. I've been cooking for a living for, over 20 years now. And I'm the same as everybody. I don't know what I want. And having a book where you can open it up and literally, like it is like one of those things where you're like, oh, cool. Wait, I'm not going to make that. Here, meatloaf sandwich.
Done.
I want it done. Like I'm like, okay, I'll do that. Or it's just like a salad. Like, oh my God, the cannellini beans with roasted red peppers and raisins and capers and anchovies and parsley. Like that's fire,
Yep.
And it is like a thing that's like, I don't know. It is like a thing that's genuinely kind of fun. That's how I kind of came about it, where I'm like, it made sense. It didn't make sense at the beginning, but I did definitely I got to a place where I said soup salad sandwiches out loud and it clicked. I was like, that sounds good. And it's very simple. You don't have to ask what it is. It's a book on soups, salads, and sandwiches. I think it's nice to not have to think that much.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's literally that's how it's broken down. Three parts. Soup, salad, sandwich. That's it.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, this type of or this you're in the mood for this or why. And then it gets like overcomplicated. I'm gonna say, do you have a favorite of the soup salad sandwich?
Absolutely not. I have no favorites.
They're all equal.
I don't think they're all equal, but I'm like, I don't know. Like, truthfully, probably the tuna melt. Like, if I was to be like, the thing that I eat the most is probably a tuna melt at home with Trish and like, a Lipton chicken noodle soup. When we're both like kind of crushed by life and we're at home and we're like, what are we going to do for lunch? And we're not, we live in a small town. We eat at home 99% of the time. I think making tuna melts is a thing because, like, even if the kids just want grilled cheeses, it's like we open up 2 cans of tuna, cut up some celery and pickles and some mayonnaise, and you're done. Like it is an easy thing. It's a delicious thing. There's nothing but like I think a tuna melt is fire.
It is personally my favorite sandwich. So when I saw that in the book, I was like, thank you for just including a tuna melt. Like it's just so
even
good.
Like the sliced tomato sandwich on white bread. It's like cookbooks don't have to be necessarily this encyclopedia of recipes. There's enough of them out there. I think it's just like, I think a good cookbook is ideas, giving people hope and giving people like the strength to make a meal on top of everything that they're doing in their lives,
Else. No, I was reading like you have your introduction, then you introduction to each of your, each of the sections of the book. And in the soup part, like I literally had this moment where I was in the grocery store and I was like, I really want tomato soup. And then of course my brain started being like, oh, I should like make it.
Yeah.
Like not, and then I'm thinking like all the ingredients and then whatever, or maybe I'll make it a red pepper soup. And all of a sudden I found myself like gravitating towards the soup aisle, like just the canned soup aisle.
Yeah.
And I was like, or I could just buy a can of Campbell's soup.
And you're going to be just as happy. Yes, you're going to be just as happy. You got no dishes. You can have it instantly, and then you just make a grilled cheese or a toasted or a BLT or like something easy. And like, that's nice.
It is. And that was ultimately a decision I made. And I was very happy with that. And I mean, yeah, I can make something fancier. I can expand on that. And that's great. But I love that your words in this book, you have you called it a kitchen shelf material, which is kind of like what you were saying. It's because I love that there are cookbooks that you have on your shelf as sort of like that status symbol. And then there are like the messy food stained books that you reach for all the time, every day. Like that's the food that makes you happy, which I feel like when I was going through this book, I was like, oh, this is 100% that book that you're just going to reach for because it's just simple, good food that makes you happy. So what was your favorite part? Like, so you got this inspiration, but what was your favorite part? Like once you were in the process of making the book?
The process is amazing. I'm surrounded by, I have a very small, amazing team. We wrote the most of this book. It's like one of those things where I'm like, I wrote my first book, like literally on my phone by myself, and that's before I had like a team, and over the last couple of years, I got a team and, we went to our friend's house in like Malibu and we went there for a week and I wrote out like a million ideas and I wrote out like a million just things. And then we just sit around and we talk about the dishes and we talk about things and we say, this is a good idea or this is a bad idea, or because it is like a thing. Like I write out like, here's like, I'm going to start with like 25 like lettuce-based salads, then like 25 bean-based salads, then 25 pasta salads, 25 meat salads, 20 like that's my process is like I really go wide and I do a lot of ideas. I just like write stupid combinations. And just like, because that's all it is. It's like food Jenga, like it is just, you take beans, cheese, a dressing, some type of herb, some type of crunch. It's literally 5 to 6 things that can make a salad perfect. Or it's even like a perfect salad could be just good lettuce with oil and vinegar, and salt. We get together and we just talk about food for like a week. And we kind of do these ideations and we work through all these things. And then I just like rifle off like quick fire recipes, and like we kind of record everything and we write everything and we compare notes. And then we go back and we take that and I edit it and we edit it and we get it to a place. And then we see what's hits. And then we just like kind of edit and we look at everything and make sure that there's enough of everything and we don't scratch too many lettuce things or too many bean things, or how many melts are there versus like at the beginning of this book, I had sandwiches by sizes, shapes, all these things. Like my idea of this book was like, I had like, it was like close to like, it was over 200 recipes in my notes, like on my phone. Cause I would just I travel all the time. So I'm just like, I see something. I'm like, oh, that's sick. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do what's like the 10 best kind of like sandwiches or like things that are in a pita. What are in these things that are in like a flatbread, a tortilla? Is a burrito? Then I'm like going through. Is a burrito a sandwich? Is a is a hot dog? I don't think is a sandwich, but I think it is like. We just go through all that type of thing, and then like dessert sandwiches. I'm like, well, there's a lot of things that are sweet that are like a sandwich, and so I don't know, we just round it out and make fun of stuff and have fun and like treat it like a writer's room, and it's just like yeah, and then we get to a place and then we just finite, because it is a thing too. Like my process is like very weird where like I don't write the blurbs until after I'm done the photography, because I find it's almost like lying. Like an idea has no experience. Yeah. So I'm like, I have to experience cooking this thing. I have to experience taking a photo of this thing. The mood of the room will dictate things. All of these things that are happening, making the cookbook is the experience. I'd be lying if I'm like, oh yeah, I'm at home making all these things for my beautiful family. When was the last time I actually made ice cream sandwiches for my family? Shut up. Like it's just like I buy, ice cream sandwiches like everybody else. Yeah. We cook a lot at home, but it is like, everyone's spinning some yarn. But I think it is one of those things that the process of making the book is the experience. And so then I can speak to that. So it's just like I write all the ideas of the recipes, then I make the recipes, we do the photography, then I go back and I write all of the blurbs and all the essays, because now I have feelings. I've made these dishes. I've tasted these dishes. I understand what this is. I've understood what we've done. And then, so it is like a weird kind of 3-part thing where ideation, rough recipes, make the recipes, and I do the recipe testing while we're shooting the photography. So like I actually make everything. I don't like cheat it. So it's just like we make everything. Then it is this thing. Then we're referencing notes on like, oh, I'm like, yo, because I'm a very visual person, I make something, I'm like, that looks stupid. That didn't work. And then it's that thing where we're just like, it's a constant kind of motion, and the book isn't done until the book is done. Then we have to go back and read it out loud. I'm an avid person of reading it out loud, because then you catch your mistakes. Reading in your head, you'll just read it and you'll go over it, but you have to like read it out loud. So there's a lot of different like little things. It's like definitely like a 2-year process.
Oh yeah. So those photos of like your kids eating the ice cream sandwiches, they're experiencing it in real time. Like those are real emotions coming through.
Yeah, we cook everything at the farm. When we're at the farm shooting, like we do you can see the studio shots. So then that was done like 6 months later. We shot everything at the farm just within our schedule. It was like, I think it was literally last summer, right? So it was just like we shot that last summer, and then we shot everything in the studio last fall. Yeah. So it's like, yeah. So it is like yeah. And so like, yeah, like our kids are there, but we're cooking everything like in the home style cookery kitchen out in my barn. That's where we do most of the prep. And then we're bringing stuff into the house, and then we're cooking stuff in the house. And, I got my like three of my like chefs to do all the prep. And then we have like a food stylist, but I still plate everything because I'm a little bit of a control person with like plating and style, because it is like style is my style. I can't have somebody do my food. Like whenever I work with a food stylist, it's more just like set me up for success, and then I do
you add in your own.
Yeah. So it's just like we style everything ourselves, and I don't know, it's fun.
No, that makes sense. I mean, even with your YouTube videos, I mean, like there's just You do. There's like a style to your cooking, and just not even in the way you make things and the way you present things. And I think that's fun, and I think that that's sort of something that I think your fans definitely resonate with. So I 100% get that. Like it's got to be from you. It's got to be like your
Yeah.
styling, even if someone is that's their job and they're a professional. It's like it's meant to be lived in. Like it's meant to feel lived in.
Yeah, I think I just have a touch. I got like the velvet hammer, and it's just like I'm definitely heavy-handed with flavors. I'm heavy-handed with seasoning. I'm like I want things to be the most. Also, like but in this book too, like there is restraint. There is more of like the real Matty cooking as well that I think is very beautiful and very special to me as well. Where my cookbooks also are like a massive juxtaposition between my YouTube and who I am on YouTube versus like my cookbooks are definitely way more me than my YouTube is me, you know?
No, and you feel it. I mean, especially I feel like with soups, salads, and sandwiches that it's you feel this, and I mean, yeah, there are some recipes that you feel like are like, oh, okay, that's a little bit of a stretch, but I can do that. And the other things where you're just like, I could make this right now, like 5 minutes. I have every ingredient for this. Like I could put this together. This is going to be amazing. I never thought about it, but yeah, like it's so simple and so good. And then you just do it, and it's great.
Well, I just want people like cookbooks are just a map. Like it's just like how you get to the end is like I look at cookbooks most of the time and I just get excited about I'll look at a photo, I'm like, I'm gonna make that. I don't need the recipe. I can see it and understand it, but that's because I can cook. But it is like a thing. I think a lot of people I think within the last 10 years, the amount of cooking people are doing and are aware of and restaurant culture and home cooking culture has went I think as everything has gone because of information and the way that social media is, it's like, it's wild. Anyone may all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, they know steak au poivre sauce, like au poivre sauce is massive. And like you have like some person that's never been to France talking about Paul Bert, and like talking about like, like talking about like this stuff that's like, what? Like being like, yo, I saw this like banging steak with like the craziest like au poivre sauce. And you're like, is this what people are talking about now?
This is what people talking about.
Yeah, okay. People are talking about, levels of anchovies and what? Okay.
And it is great because I mean, if you think about it, I mean that's
amazing.
Just like it's most people like they wake up, what am I gonna eat? And then it's like throughout the day, you're like thinking about it. It's part of your culture, it's part of your day, it's part of like it informs who you are. It's just food is I think a big thing. And I love the fact that I love that we're talking about it and not talking about it in a restrictive way, talking about it in like a joyous way and like how we can add to it as opposed to like not eating it. I think that is like
it's amazing.
That is the biggest thing I think that from all of this that I get excited about. All right, moving on to the next portion of your book, salads. So you talk about not really eating salads as a kid, which resonated with me. My family didn't either. And it was kind of a thing where, you go to people's houses and everyone starts with a salad and you're kind of always a little awkward, like thinking about it. I remember like those feelings. And then you talk about how you can like make anything into a salad. Like you kind of really flip the idea of a salad on its head. And I think about how like I would call my mom like the casserole queen because she was always able to take like all these leftovers and make them into something entirely new. And I was like, technically that was kind of like a salad. Like she was just
it's
like
a hot salad.
Yeah, like she was just like mixing things and making something and then different. We're like mixing it up. So do you have any rules for a salad or is it just whatever brings you joy?
I think it's a combination of things in a bowl that you can eat with one utensil.
Done.
I think that defines a salad. Can you eat it with a fork or chopsticks or a spoon? Even there's a lot of salads that you can eat with a spoon. I don't know. I've been recently just eating a lot of things with spoons for some reason, or I've gotten rid of a knife and I've been eating everything with like a fork and a spoon. But I think, I don't know. Salads, it is like a thing where, I just did like if I had a salad, it was like taco salad, and like we had that like once a year during summer or something, it's an interesting thing. And I really didn't, until I started like going to like Trisha's house as a like teenager, which is funny to talk about. But like when I used to go to my wife's house when we were teenagers, 20 years ago, But like that was she was Italian. Her father's Irish. It's like, oh, you guys have meal, like you guys don't have Taco Tuesday. Your spaghetti doesn't have green peppers and mushrooms in it. Like it is the thing where I'm like, I grew up like white. I grew up like very Canadian, beige and unremarkable, like the very meat and potatoes. My dad doesn't like silky, beautiful mashed potatoes. He likes forked boiled potatoes with salt, and then you add butter later. Like our mashed potatoes growing up was just forked boiled potatoes with salt. Like that was our mashed potatoes. And then you would have gravy, or you'd have, grew up in the Maritimes. So it was like very, even more kind of rough and like meat and potatoes, or like boiled. Like we always had like rutabaga and turnip and potato, and then like some type of ham, or it was very much like forked root vegetables in the wintertime, and like a boiled meat, having spaghetti, and then having the noodles separate than the meat, and having a salad, and having, even still, like you go to like Trisha's parents' house for like Thanksgiving, there is a decorated salad in front of and they'll have like 15-20 people for like a seated dinner at Trisha's parents' house. And it still blows my mind. Like every year it's just like straight up like a Ina or a Nigella salad. Like it is just like it is like, yeah, like it very much is like, and her family is there's four women, and then the brother, they call him the brother. But then it is like they're all like avid cooks. They're all very good. All the women in Trisha's family are very good cooks. Yeah, like even like I'm always like dumb. I'm like, dude, I just want to eat turkey and mashed potatoes, and like I'm good. I'm all this stuff. I want to eat this. I don't want to have a roasted beet, walnut, goat cheese, gastrique salad before I eat just a bunch of soft, warm, hot, like that's all it is. It's just soft. I was like, turkey dinner and roast beef dinner is just like, there's not a lot of resistance. I like it. I like it soft.
Those are like mashy foods. Yeah. There's not too much of a struggle there.
No. So it's like, but I think salads, yeah, like I just never understood it. And then like, and now I love salads, especially like with the farm and everything. It's like, just real lettuce that tastes like real lettuce, or like fresh radicchio and like frizz. Like we grow so many different types of lettuce on the farm, and it's just like, man, it is something special. And I think it is, and you can eat unlimited. Like if you're eating just a healthy salad, that's great. And I think but salad definitely, like I got like that grilled salami, like it's almost like it's just like a panzanella with like grilled salami.
Yeah.
But it is like grilled salami's fire. And it is just like a thing where, if you have like a kitchen sink salad, there's always like some sliced salami or sliced ham or something like that, or a cob or things like that, where, a chopped chicken salad or something like that, or like these old diner, like, like you look at the old diner menus and there's always like, it was just like chopped ham salad. I'm like, what did that look like? I wonder, was that just a bunch of chopped ham with cherry tomatoes and cheddar cheese or Swiss cheese on top of a bowl of lettuce, or was there even a bowl of lettuce? I don't even know. No. But I like to think that there wasn't. But I think it is. Yeah, salads, they're endless. It's a void worth filling.
No, I love the perspective of it. It made me think about all the. Yeah, I had a diner growing up, and it was just like the diner. Like like even there might have been other diners, but this was the one that everyone went to. And like I would eat, like I don't eat pasta salad, but I would eat pasta salad there. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why. Like,
just like feta and like black olives.
Yeah. Like just, I don't even know. It was just, and it was great. And I still, to this day, if anybody else made it, I'd really be like, no. But if I go back home, like I'll eat that one. And it was just, there was nothing special about it.
The beacon salad in this book, it's written like, it literally is like, we went to the Beacon. The Breakfast Beacon is this like small little diner in Ridgeway, Crystal Beach. And where we live, and like we went there with Lisa, and it was like were we working on the cookbook?
Yeah,
we were working on the first book.
Yeah,
our homestyle cookery. We were working on homestyle cookery, and we went to the Breakfast Beacon for lunch, And Lisa got the salad, the beacon salad, and it came out, and it was just a salad with it was like chopped chicken fingers on top as like chicken croutons. And it was and served with like a giant bowl of ranch to pour all over it with like cheese and everything. It was the craziest thing ever. And we ate it before any of the other, we all were just like, what is that? And we just started jamming it and eating it. And we're like, this is incredible. Just like like a chicken finger salad. And I put that in the book, my ode to the breakfast beacon. But it is, like that's the thing is like, I want to be able to have chicken finger salads on top of, white bean, beautiful pepper with anchovy, people got different modes, like there's everyone in their heart has a place for like a chopped chicken finger salad,
Yeah. You have a place for it.
Yeah.
So then you wrap it up with sandwiches, and sandwiches actually, I mean, like, again, I love the simplicity of that. It's just sandwiches, but you've got breakfast sandwiches in there. You've got dessert sandwiches in there. Like you could have broken it up, but it's just like sandwiches.
Yeah.
Sandwiches. But you start the section talking about that first sandwich love, which is actually a conversation I love. I think most of us have one. I respect bologna for you.
Yeah.
And your love for that. I was a tuna sandwich with Doritos kid. That was like,
okay.
So I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit triggered by the room temp lettuce and mayo sandwich because I think my room temp tuna sandwich probably wasn't too far off. So I love that rant. Do your kids have any sandwich combos that make you sort of question your life choices?
No, my son loves just like a sub with nothing on it except for like Italian dressing. So he just wants like layered meats and like sub sauce.
Yeah.
And he like loves it. He like loves that. He's not really on to like the veggies and lettuce and tomatoes and pickles and peppers and all that kind of stuff. Mac's favorite sandwich is definitely like a sub roll with, salami and capicola and like maybe some, I don't really put prosciutto, but probably mortadella and then just some sub sauce. And he loves that. And then, yeah, I don't know. My daughter, they definitely, no, they're like maybe a grilled cheese. But even if they eat a sandwich, my daughters are like very picky and like, they eat literally like birds. They eat like, they'll have like rice for dinner and like they'll have rice and like chopped raw carrots or like broccoli to chew on. And like, they don't eat a lot of meat, but sometimes they do. They like what they call like crispy steak. I just like pan fry a steak and like cut it for them. And like, they love crispy steak, they call it. Because I like it's just salty and yeah, but like they love like if I make like a quesadilla, just like a simple cheese quesadilla, which maybe is a sandwich in some respects. But yeah, they keep it real low key. Like they even like Rizzo will just like if I make a mortadella, just like a mayonnaise mortadella like toast sandwich or something, she'll like just eat the mortadella and like leave the bread. And like, she's picky and Ozzy's beyond picky, so it's baby steps with the kids.
Of course. Now my daughter made tacos and she just ate the top part of the taco because it just had the cheese. And then when she ate it like here's the taco and she ate it like from here down, like from the like from the side. And then when she got to the meat, she was like, I don't want this. And I was like, okay, so you just ate tortillas and chips, like tortillas and cheese. Like that was it. But it was like, hey, that's what makes you happy. She's the same way. Like I had three whatever spoonfuls of rice. I'm full. And I'm like, that's fine.
Yeah. And then they're like, give me a chocolate bar.
Of course.
Like, can I have a spoon of Nutella?
But so the sandwiches part. So then I love the fact that you gave a shout out. You gave a shout out to, I mean, there's lots of sandwiches, but because I'm from New York, you gave a shout out to the famous breakfast egg and cheese, the bacon, egg and cheese sandwich. And I think that is something that it's funny that it has become like this like New York staple. And I didn't even think of it, you kind of don't even think of it as such, but it is. They're these like iconic sandwiches. Is there still like, do you have is there an iconic sandwiches from your youth or like an iconic sandwich from where you grew up or something that you just like, like nostalgia for you?
Yeah, I'd say like for me, it's like the chicken finger sub, like growing up like I'm on the border of Buffalo, right? Like I'm on the Canadian side of Buffalo. So like growing up, like Fort Erie, like with the town that I grew up in is a pizza sub chicken wing town. It's that and like Chinese restaurants and like strip clubs. So it is like, and bingo halls. It was like bingo halls, strip
Perfect.
clubs, a lot of Chinese restaurants, and then just like really good pizza and subs kind of thing. That's Fort Erie's cuisine. And yeah, I think the chicken finger sub at RoboMart, which is a gas station next to like the Peace Bridge to go to Buffalo. I think unfortunately, I think it sold, and now the food has gone down. I believe. I don't want to, I don't want to pan anything, but I think I haven't had it in a while since I heard Ilka and Minaj sold it, who have been there for a long time, but they serve a chicken finger sub there that is like my favorite thing. And also in the book, I got like the taco sub from there, which is an amazing. It's almost like, imagine like a chopped cheese. It's like a chopped cheese, but a taco sub, like it's like, it really is like, because when you say like taco sub, it's like, it's a little, yeah, like, is that the photo there?
I mean, you got a taco salad in the book. You got a taco sub.
Like that thing.
I love it.
But that, like, it is like, yeah, like tacos, like everyone, like it is like, it's not taco. When we're saying tacos, it's not. We're talking ground beef and Old El Paso. We're talking crappy Tex-Mex. Even like, it's not even Tex-Mex. By the time it gets up here, it's not even Tex-Mex.
It's not even. Like I said, it was literally at the taco I was making my kids. It was like meat and cheese. And that's it. That was pretty much like, that's all they get.
My kids don't even want the packets. They don't even want the packets. They just want ground beef and the stuff.
That's what we did. And it was like, even without that, it was like, it's too spicy. I'm like, okay, I can't.
Spicy. I know. I stopped putting pepper on anything so I can like be like, there's literally nothing.
There's no spice.
There's no spice. But like, I love it. Kids will like blow on something and say it's too spicy.
Yeah. I'm like, do you mean spicy hot, spicy heat? And they're like, spicy. I'm like, okay, it's just one word for everything. Like, we're good.
You guys are being jerks.
Speaking of kids, you spent your summers on Prince Edward Island as a kid, which pretty much was my dream as a bookish young girl for a couple reasons. But how did those sort of like early experiences, like in a restaurant, working on a farm, shape your sort of later culinary career?
I think it was just like going to a place of love that was like my grandfather's restaurant. He lived behind, it was his apartment was a part of the restaurant, right? Like if you walked behind the soda pop shop, because it was like it was the soda pop shop kind of thing, like the little diner where you could get milkshakes and sit on the swivel stools and all that, like get ice cream, and there's like banquettes and stuff in that side, and then the main dining room. And if you walked behind the bar and the counter, and then you walked, there's like a big supply room with like, it was filled with chocolate bars and things and all that kind of stuff. And then the next door just went into his apartment where he lived. And so like my parents would sleep on the pull-out couch in there, and then we would sleep in the Winnebago. He had a Winnebago out in the parking lot. So we would sleep in the Winnebago, which was like the coolest thing ever.
Of course.
And then there was a room outside to the parking lot of the side of the Blue Goose. Then that door, and then there was a door straight into the kitchen from that apartment. And so like you would walk right into the kitchen. And so that was the thing that was crazy, is like kids, we weren't allowed in there because it's dangerous or whatever. So we would like open the door and like watch it. And like this was it's on the Trans-Canada Highway. And so it's just like, it was a busy, like the Blue Goose was like a pumping, busy diner, like it was always busy from like 6 a.m. to, 7 at night, because it's like, on the island, everyone's going, it's like dinner's at 5, supper's at 5. And so it was a busy, busy restaurant. And we would just look, and it was like, it was one of those things, the stainless steel, the noise, the sound, the smells, all of these things were like really like, it's very romantic looking back now. As a kid, it was just like kind of crazy to watch. Like, it wasn't like, I want to be this one day or like whatever. Like I remember even being a kid, like we would sit in the back. He used to have like almost like trailers. So like one was like a giant fridge where like, and they would make they made the dinner rolls there. They made like everything. They made fresh bisque and chowders every day. And like everything was homemade there. And we would go in this one trailer where they would do like prep. And we would be sitting there on milk crates, filling up like the paper cups with like homemade coleslaw, you know? And like we would be able to do that, or we would be cutting lemons for the fish and chips on Fridays, or just like things like that. Fun like little medial jobs as kids, and like doing things like that. And yeah, it was just cool. And then like every day, when we were there, we would eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. So like you would have breakfast, eggs and bacon or whatever, and then every lunch you'd have a soup or a club sandwich. And then for dinner, I'd always get turkey dinner because they always had turkey dinner. And so like I would just always like every night you're having like turkey. It was like the craziest thing because like you didn't have to have like you didn't, it was like you're eating at a restaurant every day, and it was like
you get whatever you want. Like there was
and in PEI it was so sick because like there's still to this day it's like very recycled, like it's a very sustainable kind of island, and so like there was no plastic or no cans even, so like all the pop forever was still in glass bottles. So like you would get like a giant 7-Up or an Orange Crush or like any of that. And like, you'd always just have like a big bottle of like soda, which was like the best. Like, it was just so cool. There were so many things about it that like we lived in like Dartmouth and like would go to Halifax and like a big city. And like, this was like out in like, even though it was on the highway, it's still just like the highway's a 2-lane highway. It's not like it's a highway. When I say the Trans-Canada Highway going through Prince Edward Island was a highway. Yeah, it was just like, I think just going to a place of love that happened to be a restaurant. I have like beautiful, fond memories of everything about it. Like it was even like when my grandfather sold it and retired, he bought the house 2 doors down. Like
it was, I can't get away.
Yeah, like he literally, which is so funny. He's such a funny dude. He literally bought the house 2 doors down from where the restaurant was, which was like amazing. Because then even when we would go visit him then, until he passed, like we would still get to go to like Blue Goose,
I love that. Yeah. And it's honestly, that's hearing you say that and like, reading the book, it is about, there's a lot of love in cooking and there should be a lot of love, or there should be a lot of joy, and there should be the like food core, memories and like the things that you sort of remember about recipes. I think that's really fun. That's a really great experience. I'm not gonna lie. I'm very jealous. I was always wanted to go to Prince Edward Island. Of course,
it's amazing.
Be on a farm. Just amazing.
It's a beautiful, amazing, special place.
So you've been pretty busy in the culinary world over the last 2 decades, and then you recently stepped into a new role or roles as actor and executive producer on FX's Emmy and Golden Award-winning hit show The Bear. So what's been now like a totally different experience? What's been the most surreal experience for you working on that show?
I think the most surreal thing is making it, like, I've known Chris a long time, who's like the creator. And when he called me, it's funny because like when he called me, it wasn't anything. It's like, we're going to shoot a pilot.
Like a baby, just like nothing. It's just
like
creating
it's an idea. Like it wasn't even like it wasn't greenlit, like it wasn't the Bear wasn't anything. And it was like a job. Like that's it. Like it was just like a job. He was like, can you consult? I want somebody to make it like this. And like I want somebody to like work with our writers and work with our actors and like work with people and like figure some stuff out and help us make it more real. It turning into what it's turned into and how big it's became and like how, loved or hated it is. I think making it is still like, I'm still like, we're going back in February and I'm so excited. Like, I'm like talking, like I talk to everyone so much and like, we're all such good friends and we all genuinely love each other. And it's like, it really is amazing. Like, I'm like FaceTiming Evan yesterday and he's in England shooting a Marvel movie. And like, it is just like one of those things that's like, it's surreal. Like it is like a thing where I'm like, it's amazing what food has given me, and it's amazing that like doing things my way and like being who I am and the reciprocal or like what has happened is like wild. And never in a million years would I think I'd be in the position I'm in a lot of these things. And it's every day I have to wake up and write a little gratitude list. And it is like one of those things that, I'm blown away. Like it is like, sure, like going to awards and you're sitting like behind Meryl Streep, or you're walking around and you're seeing Martin Scorsese, or you're like in the same room as Brad Pitt and all these things. And you're like, oh, what's up, guy? John Hamm. Hey. It was so funny. I met John Hamm and he like literally was just like called me Marty. I was just like, which is funny because a lot of people call me Marty, but it is like, I was like, hey, what's up? He was like talking to David, Liza's husband, David. And I was just like, hey, what's up, dude? Like, nice to meet you. And he's like, what's your name? And I was just like, oh, I'm Matty. He's like, Marty, nice to meet you. I was like, all right, John Hamm. Nice to meet you too, buddy. But it is like whatever. Like it is like, I feel like that stuff is like the whatever stuff to me, truly, because I'm like, I don't live in LA or New York for a reason. And I feel like I love staying in my hometown and like living actual small town kind of life. And having my kids grow up in that way is an amazing thing. And I want to be very aware of that and how special that is. But yeah, the most surreal thing is making it, and whatever happened. And I'm forever grateful. Like it is the globalness of how the bear has done is wild.
Yeah. No. And again, we're kind of like what we were saying before, and just how food in general is kind of, it's just been elevated. The way people talk about it on social media, the way you see it in films, the way you see it, in TV, it's just, I think the whole experience is wild. I think the bear is definitely is like a perfectly timed show. And I think people are obviously responding to the food, obviously responding to the humanity of it, but it's just, I think it's wild. And I think it's just a great show. Now,
thank you.
I know you literally just have this book out, but I'm going to ask because it seems like you've got so many things going on. What's next for Matty Matheson?
What is next for Matty Matheson? Just trying to stay cool. It is, there's a lot of stuff going on. I don't know, to be honest. I'm like, we have built a lot of amazing things over the last couple of years. Since the pandemic, we've opened a lot of restaurants. We've opened a lot of, we have multiple businesses. And I think what's next is make them good, make them consistent, make them great, make them long lasting, make them real. Doing a thing and having that cannonball blast is one thing, but having longevity and having care and consideration for a long, long time is the goal. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to have ups and downs, even though we have ups and downs every day. What's next is making these things truly unbreakable, and working on those. And because everything like, it's just like, what's next? I'll make another book, but it's like about making everything work that's together and making sure that everything keeps going in the way that it's going, and making sure that we're doing it the way that we want to do it, and making sure, and we're very proud of the work that we do. And there's not a lot of us, and we do a lot of really cool stuff. And so it's very hard, and I'm very grateful for the team around me. And it's just like, let's all grow together and build out this team and make this thing forever thing that could take care of everybody,
Love that. So I always like to wrap up with this question because I'm always looking for book recommendations. I love to know what people are reading, or cookbook recs in this case, something that recent for you. So what are you reading now? Again, book, cookbook, anything.
What am I reading now? What a great question. What am I reading now? When do you guys like to know? What's that one? That's here. Pass me Ben's. I got some Aussies. Where's Luke's? Is Luke's up there? No. Ben Shuvry's book, which I think is going to be a heater. I think this thing is going to be really special. I even got a blurb on there. I love Ben. I think he is an amazing person. I think he's pulling back the veil on a lot of interesting things that matter. I think his perspective is very beautiful. And, I think we need more of that, not just Instagram graphic memes, I think Ben is doing something special. And to write a book like this takes a lot of care and a lot of work. And I think like that's something that is, it's not just filled with photos and taco subs. I think in the culinary world, I think, read about who somebody really is. I think that's pretty special.
Well, I think this book, I want to, for those who are watching, it's a chunky one. I love that it's got the recipes, but I mean, there's so many photos in here. And I think that
if there isn't a photo, nobody's going to cook it.
No, and I mean, but just like the behind the scenes stuff, and like you were talking about, like the joy and like the real moments, and like how and everything you were saying before about the process, and like it makes sense now. Like when you're actually looking through the book and you're seeing the photos, and you're like, oh, you're actually just like watching.
Well, even like as you can see, like with our taped off, like all of our photos, you can really like I'm making the book live. Like it is like one of those things where I'm making the book. So then, as you can see it, if you look through my book, every single background, like you can't reuse a background, and then like overhead and side photos and all of these things, there is a rhythm of everything. So like as I'm making the book, I can dictate, like the table of context of my book literally is the last thing I do, because I'm still like putting the puzzle pieces together to make sure that there's a cadence where the book is very cohesive, where it flows really nice. Like you can only maybe use 10, 12 backgrounds. Some people use a couple, but it is like, and I'm talking prop world right now that a lot of people, but it is like a thing that like there's a formula on making something look organic, making something look cohesive and not overused, using different fabrics and all these things that like, as I'm like live editing everything every day, that's how we're dictating everything. And sometimes, and as I'm shooting, I'm getting rid of recipes or I'm adding recipes. Even in that moment, like as we're doing final photography, I'm still writing new recipes because I'm like, looking at all the photos, now I can see what the book's going to look like. And I'm like, I need 3 other seafood dishes, or I need 2 more soups that aren't this color. Or like, I need, like, everything is very visual to me. So like, it's a weird process because I have to almost I have to make the book live. I am making the book live, but it's like, I'm editing constantly and I'm doing all these things and then I can see it. And then I'm like, okay, we're cool here.
It's literally like, this is literally you.
But that's what's happening. I'm looking and editing and consolidating and moving things and telling stories and looking at how this is and building a book.
This has been great. This book is fabulous. I wish you nothing but luck with it. Maddie, thank you again. This has been a real treat. Soups, salads, sandwiches. This is going to be your next favorite cookbook, and it's out now. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Hello, readers. It's time for another TBR Top Off. We're going to recommend a couple of great cookbooks today to pick up when you stop in for your copy of Matty Matheson's Soups, Salads, and Sandwiches. I'm Mark at my Barnes & Noble in Cincinnati, and I'm joined by my book buddy Jamie out in Kansas City. Hello, Jamie. But I think this might actually be the first time we're doing cookbooks for the TBR Top Off, and I'm super excited about this. First off, any time spent with Matty Matheson has got to be a wonderfully good thing. He's just so damn cool, and he knows food so well. So I wanted to recommend a cookbook that really is done by someone who gets food and is just equally as fascinating a person. So I chose Start Here, Instructions for Becoming a Better Cook, and that is by Sola El-Waylly. Oh my God, she is one of the coolest people in the universe. Her YouTube that she had in partnership with the New York Times is tremendous. Her Instagram game is always fantastic. And she was a judge on HBO Max's The Big Brunch. Pretty much the best part of that show, I'll be completely honest. Sign in just to watch her, because she tears these folks to shreds in the best possible way. But really, she just understands food. She really knows the ins and outs in such a very specific and fascinating way. And for her to share that is just such a treat. But this book, it won the James Beard Award for cookbooks in June of this year, and for very good reason. The recipes in it are truly brilliant, but really it's a perfect book for those who are not very confident in the kitchen. She really lays out steps in the best possible way. She shows you not only how to bake a layered cake, but how to cut it so it doesn't look like garbage when you finish. She's also not afraid to challenge cooks in the home. The recipes that she brings into the table, the ingredients that she uses, it's for any level. And it's one of those staple cookbooks that should be in every home. I love the way that she infuses science with all of her recipes. Like, she just gets it, and she wants us to get it too. It encourages you to rethink what home cooking can be. And like I said, the recipes are excellent. The jammy egg tacos, shut up. They're so insanely good. I couldn't recommend this book more. It's the one that I'm going to go to for the holiday season as a gift. I just think everybody should have it in their home. And that is Start Here by Sola El-Waylly. I love it so, so much. Jamie, what do you have for us?
Well, I just want to say, Sola, yes, awesome. I'm going to talk about one of Sola's friends here in a minute, but Matty Matheson too. I mean, love the bear. I love his book. I love all cookbooks, really. Cooking is really an important part of my happiness and is just as important to me in life as reading and books are. So I love to collect cookbooks. I have piles of them. I'm in my kitchen right now. They're everywhere. I hang out in the cookbook section of the store. I'm constantly messing around in there, getting it like just the way I want it, talking to all the other cookbook nerds. And one of my favorite chefs to recommend is Molly Baz. And today I'm going to talk about her most recent cookbook, which is More is More, Get Loose in the Kitchen. I think she's a great fit if you like Matty and Sola, obviously, because I'm talking here about recipes you can cook. When you read them, right? You know they're going to be super tasty, but you have a feeling when you read them, I'm going to be reaching for this one over and over again. And that's not to say that the flavors aren't elevated, because they certainly are, but they're presented in this sort of like accessible meets fancy meets super tasty kind of way. And as a bookseller and a cookbook reader and a cookbook user, I know that there's really two kinds of cookbooks out there, right? There's the French Laundry, exquisite piece, and organic those meals. I never could. That's sort of the point of them. They're very special. They're very restaurants, and having this, prepared meal like they create on the Bear, that experience is part of that. And so they're more like coffee table books to me. And then the kind of cookbook that I use every day. I mean, I own them, I love them, but I don't really use them, right? And so the second kind of cookbook, they're full of the recipes that you're going to reach for and that you can recreate at home. I think Ruth Reichel called them bistro cookbooks. She said people don't need big, fancy French cookbooks because they don't have the training anyway. So she's like, you need a bistro cookbook at home because that's going to have ingredients that you can get your hands on and techniques that can be easily laid out in a page or two. And all of the recipes in this book have ingredients that are familiar to you. If you're any sort of foodie at all, they're familiar to you. She certainly goes beyond ketchup and things like that. But if you're a fan of international flavors, you're going to find that she draws on just the most tasty pantry ingredients from around the world. Super tasty. Her take is that if you keep working on these recipes and keep tweaking them, keep dialing up the seasoning, turning up the heat, whatever it takes to achieve that, big maximum flavor. This is a maximalist cookbook from the cover too, the font, the design, everything about it is big. And I'll say one more thing, and it's that Molly's personality. And I think a lot of us, from following her on YouTube or on Instagram and watching these videos for years, we feel like we know her, And so that really comes through on the written page as well. It's a funny, messy, snarky, it's kind of like having her in the kitchen there with you, making dinner with you. And so it is a lot of fun. And again, that one is More is More, Get Loose in the Kitchen by Molly Baz. And if you make it, you have to send me the tahini brownies. That's the rule. Back to you, Chef.
Thank you, Chef. Absolutely.
I'm a nerd, sorry.
Oh my God, me too. I am about to rewatch The Bear all over again from the beginning. And Maddie's cookbook, I think, has sort of prompted that for me, and also the show. Come on. But yes, that is all we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in to Poured Over. I hope this gave you some appetite and made you hungry and made you want to run out and make some delicious things by three chefs who, honestly, they really get that this is for you, that you get to play with these flavors, you get to play with these recipes. They just want you to be comfy and have fun in the kitchen. And that's kind of what it should be about. So jump out, grab all of their books because they're fantastic and they should all live in everybody's kitchen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure to give us a rating and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. You can also follow us on our socials at Barnes & Noble. Pretty simple. You can seek out Jamie and I at our home stores if you really feel like it. But you just tune in. You'll see us again soon. Thanks for reading, everybody. Bye.
Thank you for listening. Poured Over is a Barnes & Noble production. To help other readers find us, please rate and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.